Good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to another new vlog. Thank you for joining me once again in a woodland. I'm always talking quite a lot about trying to find order within the chaos, and it's very easy to do something like that in a woodland like this. I've got some mature trees all around me, but I've also got some slightly younger trees as well. And I found myself just in the centre of it all, looking around at what's going on around here and trying to make some sort of composition from all of this chaos around me. So I think there's a composition just behind me that uses that there, but also directly opposite that, as I turn around, there's also a little area over here where some of these trees create some quite interesting compositions, and I think this one here looks the most interesting, and that's simply because of the shape of it. I'll try and get a little bit closer to see if I can show you what it looks like, because it's quite an interesting one. So here we are, it's this one here. Look at the way that kind of curves upwards and then suddenly goes back the other way, and there are branches coming off in all directions. That's quite an interesting one. It's quite a dark trunk as well, so that will contrast well with all the lighter colours on the forest floor. So this is quite an interesting one. I'm going to set up and take a shot of this now, and then I believe I've got another composition just over behind me over this way, as I said, but as well as that, I think there's also another composition off to my left as we look now, and it's quite an interesting one because that's just what appears to be a copse of immature saplings that have been planted to try and rejuvenate the woodland, but it's just the other side of a little path that I've crossed on the way here, so it's a few minutes away, but I think that's going to make an interesting composition as well. For now I'm going to set up this one and have a look at the one behind me, but then also possibly go and have a look at this one over to my left as well. As I was walking away from that woodland I was just in, it's only about 50 yards away from where I'm standing now, but I did notice that there was quite a lot of horse shit on the floor. Actually pony shit, to be more precise. There are a herd of wild Exmoor ponies that roam through this part of the parkland, and in particular that particular woodland that I was just in, and the evidence of them was all around my feet as I was walking around. Thankfully I managed to avoid stepping in it. I also managed to avoid putting my bag in it, which is one of the other things I've usually done. Just behind me, what I've found is this, basically it's a little grove of saplings, and they've obviously been planted here to regenerate this woodland, but there seems to be a natural path running through this particular little grove, and I quite like the angle of that curve just there, as that goes from there and then curves across, and then it kind of disappears out of the way behind the trees. So I'm going to take a shot of this, but I also noticed that there's quite a lot of colour in these leaves on the tops of the saplings, so I'd quite like to get to the very edge of it and see if I can capture a shot looking into the actual little grove of saplings here and capture the colours and textures of this little cut in here. So we'll see about that one, but for now I'm going to set up here and take this shot. So after capturing that little pathway that was running through that little grove of trees, saplings, I walked to the edge of it, and as I turned round to walk towards the edge of that pathway, what I discovered at the top of the path, behind where I was standing, there was another tree just sort of overhanging the path, and it was a little bit bent and unsteady on its feet by the looks of things. But just beneath that, as you go up the slope towards that tree, there were a couple of little patches of heather, which obviously have turned quite reddish brown now. They're no longer the purple that they were a couple of months ago. So they made an interesting foreground for the image. So I shot that one while I was there, and then carried on about 5 yards up to the edge of the path and stood at the edge of that little grove of trees and took another shot looking into the grove of trees, because I thought it was quite an interesting one. I'm losing the light a bit now. It's quite dark, it's quite late in the afternoon, and we are in early November, about a third of the way through November now, so I am losing the light quite quickly, but I think there might just be enough time for one last long exposure. So I'm going to head over to a little pond that I know, not far from here, and capture a long exposure, and then I think I'm going to make a move. So that's it then, last shot of the day. Just out here somewhere, just into this pond, there's a lump of wood just sticking up, and I wanted to focus on that with a long exposure and an ISO of 1600, f4.5 to start with as my base aperture, and then shoot for a 36-second exposure and see what I get with that. It looks quite an interesting one. I hope you like this image. Like I say, that's the last image of the day. If you've enjoyed this vlog, then please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again on another vlog very soon. Bye for now.